have made it easy to move money from one place to the other. But we do appreciate its role in including the unbanked and underbanked communities.
Now, what is very interesting is that Ugandans are taking a lot of interest in this particular space, not just as consumers, but as builders of this technology.
So today we are celebrating our own Hamserin George, who is one of the founders of Cheaper Cash.
Now, Cheaper Cash, for those who may not know, is today a $2 billion company and has so far been able to mobilize investments in the excess of $300 million.
Welcome to Money and Markets.
But first, we're looking at the performance of Uganda's insurance industry, looking at the areas that are helping this business or industry grow. Of course, there have been those that are talking about the importance and relevance of health insurance and why it has come to the fore amidst the pandemic.
We're living in very interesting times as far as insurance is concerned. And sometimes when we say interesting, one wonders, is it deliberate? Is it a surprise? Is it miracle? But again, as you talked about the results, last year the industry hit a much coveted 1 trillion mark in terms of premium. And of course, that's about 17% in terms of growth over 2019. And what is phenomenal is that half or 2/3 of last year was locked down. So maybe that's where the speculation of miracle, surprise coming. But maybe not so much. It's a deliberate effort. And we also saw, I mean, if we come to the broking sector, we saw an increase in the numbers from about 39 to close to 48 here. And you know, brokers is distribution. The number of agents do remain. And also the broker share of the market rising from 28 to 34. So we do see a rising trajectory, and we also see advancements in areas that are really linked to the person. Health insurance, credit life insurance, savings, retirement plans, and of course the usual, commercial insurances of the person. And that's why I say it's interesting, because I get a feeling insurance is gradually sinking home. Now, when you're dealing with in a thrifty situation, you really need to be very thorough on the decisions that you make regarding your enterprise, regarding your finances. And this is where advisory services come in handy. You've got to make sure that you have all the information and all the questions are answered. But he also talks about, I think, also some growth in terms of new entrants, on the corporate side. But Charles, let me also tell you, this sometimes people call rhetoric, this aspiration of middle income. It actually transforms very slowly, very gradually. And the features of a middle income community or economy are different. The styles are different, the consumption is different, and therefore the supply is also different. So therefore you find that these companies which are coming from more developed economies, they have the models, they have the penetration strategies that can actually merge, can move along, with the times. The presence of big players here signals capacity, signals experience, signals skills development, and there are also synergies, because these big players who are coming here are part of large conglomerates, so it's very easy for them to put together capacity required for big risks, as opposed to one isolated company here running the whole world looking for capacity. There are benefits. I mean, in terms of human resource development, we do expect that definitely locals would have an upper hand. I mean, that's where local content comes in. Not just because they should have it as a favor, but we really have competent people here. We have our insurance training college, which is actually leading in developing, a human talent for the industry, and which is good. And of course, ultimately, The customer also benefits because they are experienced in product development and also service delivery. Ultimately benefits the consumer, the industry grows, and more taxes, of course. Our Insurance Act, first of all, talks about all imports into the country being insured by locally licensed companies. But reinforcement was the question. How is it done? So the IRAURM Marine Portal is set up for a very useful vehicle in this regard. Not for purposes of just collecting premium, but for purposes of securing assets. Insurance is all about securing the nation's wealth. That all imports coming in are well secured, they are protected, so the public should welcome it. And in any case, it is a one-stop shop, okay? They're not going to go through all these other rigors. And the remaining bit of the discussion is how to involve the intermediaries, because the brokers have been doing marine for their respective corporate companies. And how to link into this portal and ensure that the certificates are issued, the policies are followed up, and therefore when there are claims, they can also be properly serviced. So the public should welcome it. We do support it. It's going to contribute to the growth of premium and move us closer to where we want to be, beyond the below 1% penetration.
Ever heard of floating solar panels? Uganda and Sweden have signed an agreement for floating solar panel development project as an initiative to going green. Take a look.
Imagine having floating water panels powering critical sectors of the economy. It might sound far-fetched, but this is where Uganda is heading as it seeks to optimize its power generation potential. The country currently produces more than it consumes, but officials from the energy sector said that the country still needs more power. But most importantly, it can be a major source of power for the East African region as well, given the fact that it already exports to neighbors such as Kenya and Rwanda. To partners, this move goes beyond meeting the country's energy needs, but also aligning its energy investment aspirations to environmental protection.
Renewable energy and its development is a priority for Sweden. And Sweden and Uganda have shared close ties, especially in the area of renewable energy development over many years. And through our development cooperation, we have supported the creation of the Rural Electrification Agency over 15 years ago. We have also partnered with UNCDF to support Ugandan businesses engaged in providing clean energy solutions in innovative ways to Ugandans that are not connected to the national grid.
Although the country currently produces more power than it consumes, majority of Ugandans are yet to be connected to the national grid. And according to the National Development Plan, the country's peak power demand is rising at about 22.7% per annum. All these realities signal the need for more energy investments.
Currently, our development support is providing guarantees to companies investing in renewable energy through credit facilities from Stanbic Bank. And we are also in the preliminary stages of rolling out the Beyond the Grid program that aims at supporting off-grid energy providers to access rural markets.
Relatedly, in June 2019, the Swedish government and Uganda signed an agreement to pursue joint energy investments. Currently, Sweden has committed 2.7 billion Uganda shillings to support a study, which is a precursor to establishing floating solar projects in Uganda.
So, anywhere you have a reservoir of water, you can utilize this technology. Actually, our idea is that once we have finished the study, then we should be able to take this to our hydropower facilities in West Nile, in Nyagak. Because you know the Nyagak River, unlike the River Nile, it dries up during the dry season. And that's where we would have the maximum potential for solar energy.
Access to electricity in Uganda still remains low, and this has affected not only economic performance, but significantly the environment, giving way for more renewable energy projects like this. Statistics show that about 90% of total energy consumption is generated through biomass. This can be separated in firewood at 78.6%, charcoal at 5.6%, and crop residues at 4.7%. The biggest casualty has been the country's forest cover, which is receding at a considerably high rate.